So you have your new Nikon Z6, you now have the Moza Air 2 gimbal in your hands. So you may be very, very excited to get started, you may be totally overwhelmed. Either way, I'm here to help. I'm going to guide you through how to set everything up step by step. If you want to skip any step, I'll put the time codes below in the description, so feel free to watch the part you need. Good luck! Welcome to your new amazing Moza Air 2 gimbal. So when you open it up, I would recommend taking a picture so you know how exactly everything needs to go back in the case. So you've got the gimbal here, which will have one camera plate already attached. There's another one in here. You have your battery charger, you have your batteries, you have your instruction manual. This acts as a tripod and a handle extension, and a pouch that has many cables, a screwdriver, things like that inside. So to put in the batteries, you need to unlock this mechanism here, and I find it helps if you squeeze a handle a little bit while you do it. The red end is a positive end, and those two are going to go in first at the back, or two positive at the back, which it tells you on this picture, which you may not be able to read because it's teeny tiny. So two with the positive or red end up, and then two with the positive or red end down. And that's it. Then just make sure the boot is on the bottom, little lip in here, and click, click, and you've done it. To charge the batteries, you again just look at the picture, positive end is going to go up, and then the cable that you'll need is the one that comes in the camera case. So this is normally what you would use to hook your camera up to the computer. So one end is a USB, this end that normally goes into your camera is going in here, and then the other end, if you've got a phone charger around, a cube for that, which I'm sure you do, that's the end that'll go into your wall. You need to put the handle on because that also acts as a tripod. So you just screw that in the bottom. And then make sure it's firm, open it up, and now you can set that gimbal down on a level surface. So we're going to take the plate off the gimbal and to put it onto the camera. This is where you'll usually find it if it's been put away, the way it was found. So you need to depress this release, bring it forward, take it off. In the pouch you will find your handy dandy screwdriver. A coin will work as well, but this is fitted to it so it works better. And then you're going to, like any tripod plate, you'll be mounting that on the bottom. So the important thing to note is there are numbers on the side, so they should be pointing forward with the lens, and you want to mount it so that the lens will be supported, so you don't want it way back here. So you're just going to go ahead and line up the screw in the bottom of the camera and screw that on. So you've got that plate on, you've got your batteries in, you've got your stand on, you've got your gimbal on a level surface, and so now you're ready to start to set it up. So the first thing is we're going to slide the camera back on the gimbal, so I'm depressing that silver release, putting it on front to back. You should hear 2 clicks. And then you're going to lock the lever, make sure it's locked. And now I'm assessing whether or not the camera is front to back. So you can see now it's clearly pointing down. So that's not what we want. Before you proceed, make sure you've got your roll lock locked. At this stage, for balancing this part, you want to make sure this lock is on, okay? So I'm going to now turn, before anything else too, you don't want to have a lens cap on. That's going to affect my balance as well. As you can see, look at that. So before you do anything, make sure you have your camera ready the way you're going to shoot. So whether that's, you know, make sure your battery's in, your memory card is in, your lens cap is off. If you're using a mic, that is on. Get it ready, because every little thing will affect the balance. So now I've got some adjustments to make. So I'm going to turn this lever here, the one just under the plate, and I will move the camera until I can get it so it stays level. So that looks pretty good to me. Now, the way it looks good to my eye, but the way to really check is to turn on your camera. This is the Z6, and then you're going to push that display button twice. First, you'll get the histogram, and then you'll get a virtual horizon. And if it is truly level, you will see a green dot in the center, and that is telling me I've done my job. Now that my camera is on the gimbal, I'm going to connect it. So you've got this cable that you need to connect from the camera to the gimbal. In the gimbal bag, there's a tiny little adapter that you will attach to the multi-C cable. So that goes inserted like this, and then the end goes in the side of the camera in the top slot, okay? And the other end, which is more boxy, it's going to go into the gimbal just beside the plate, to the right of the plate, where it says cam control, okay? So to make sure that your camera is talking to your gimbal, you need to go into your menu item, and then you're going to have this first one selected, which is already selected. So I hit right, and again, select, camera set. And now it's already on there for me, but you're gonna be scrolling down until you find Nikon USB. And then you're gonna hit menu to select that. So the next step is the tilt axis. For this one, the objective is to get the camera, once I should be able to point it straight up or straight down, and it should stay there. So this clearly isn't balanced right now, so we're gonna change that. And for this one, the lever that you're going to be adjusting is the one just to the right of the camera. All right, so I'm going to tilt it up and make these adjustments until it will stay up for me. And it's sometimes just, you have to fiddle with it. It takes some patience. So that looks pretty good to me. That's staying up. Let's see if it stays down. Okay, so not quite, so just a little bit more. So you'll get better, just keep working at it until you get it staying up and down, and that is your tilt axis. Okay, so now we're ready to go on to the next one. The next axis is the roll axis. So for this one, you will need to unlock that roll lock that we talked about. And don't be alarmed if your camera goes a little bit askew, because it's not balanced yet. So just be prepared for that. So you can see, totally not balanced yet. So the objective here is to get the camera, again, level with the ground, all right? So the lever that we're gonna be manipulating is the one closest to the camera operator. So it's this one back here. So you are, again, just adjusting that. And this one I find this kind of stiff. Looks like we need to go this way. So little adjustments. So that looks pretty good to me. Again, this one we can double check, so it looks good to my eye, but I'm going to turn the camera on once again and look at that, make sure I've got that display with my vertical horizon or virtual horizon. And yes, it's totally level. So I've done a good job with leveling that axis. So now we're ready for the last one. The last axis that we have to balance is the pan axis. And for this one, you want to make sure you're seated. It's more physical because we have to lift the gimbal up. So you're going to hold it up under your armpit. That's how I like to do it. And then when you're in this position, if it's balanced properly, the camera will point forward in, this is called flashlight mode. It'll point straight ahead. So right now it's not quite balanced. So for this one, I do tilt it up on my lap while I adjust it. So we'll try that. Okay, so that's what you want. So now it is pointing straight forward, so we're done balancing everything. So now we need to check to make sure the gimbal feels like it's balanced. So what you're going to do is get it flat onto the table, and then you are going to push and hold that power button for 3 seconds, and this will turn it on. So it wakes it up. And now you're going to use the menu button, and I'll walk you through how you're going to do this. So the menu is the center button, and then you use the wheel to choose where you want to select. So you're going to push down once for gimbal set, right once to select, and then down to calibration, which is 2, over to select, and then down once to balance check, and then right to select. So you're gonna see that it's checking now the different all the different axes to make sure that it is in fact balanced. And if you've done it correctly, which it looks like I have, you'll see it says back, front, up, down, left, right, and you'll have an asterisk in the middle. If they aren't quite in the middle, it means you will have to go back and make some adjustments. And don't be alarmed if that's the case. It does take practice, but you'll get better at it. So now's the fun part. So we've done that, and now we want to make sure the gimbal senses the weight and the feel of what we have on the gimbal. And so to check, again, we're going to do an auto tune. And so you push that function button and hold it for 3 seconds. And then once you feel the camera turn on, it does a little shimmy shake, little dance for you. So it's checking all the different axes, and it's my favorite part because you get to kind of dance along to it. So once, so I think it does 3 different little jiggles for you. And then once it's finished those, you are ready for operation. So now you're ready to start using the gimbal. So you're gonna have so much fun with it. You'll see on the display, you've got tilt, roll, pan with some numbers in either F or L. So the numbers are the speed that it's going to move. The lower the number, the slower it'll go. The higher the number, the faster it'll move. So you can find a speed that works well for you depending on what you're doing. And then right now mine are all set to F. However, I can lock an axis or unlock it by pressing the joystick. So I've prepared a little handout for you with shortcuts on here. So you can use that to follow. So you can see if I push the joystick once, it's locking my pan axis. And then to unlock it, I just push it once again. Again, if I push it twice, that's locking the roll axis, and push it twice again for follow. And tilt is 3 times. And then unlock. Okay, so the joystick controls the movements of the gimbal, so it goes right and left for my pan, and then if I want to tilt, I can go up and down. Okay, and then this dial on this side is my roll, so that controls the roll. And anytime you want to recenter your gimbal, you're going to push the trigger twice, so 2 times will always reset it. The other thing the trigger will do is if you wanted to go into selfie mode, you push it 3 times, and then you can do your own selfie video if you're explaining something, and again, twice to go back to recenter. Another fun one is the inception mode, which it's twice on the function. So if you push the function key twice, it tilts it straight up. So now, and your speed is controlled by the dial. So now I can, you know, if you want to create a cinematic look of the room ceiling spinning, or, you know, there are a lot of cool things you can do with this mode. So that's a good one to note. And if you turn this the other way, the speed the other way, it rotates in the other direction. So lots of fun things. So again, double click to go back to recenter. And then the different ways you would hold it when you're using it, make sure you've got this down, and now that acts as another handle. So you always want to have a firm grip on it. And this is called vertical mode. And then, as I said before, we have flashlight mode. So if I'm in, I'm just gonna use my joystick, tilt this up toward the camera. If I'm in this flashlight mode, I hold down the trigger, and that'll temporarily lock all the axes while I'm holding it. So again, I can go toward the camera and back, or toward my subject matter. So that's a good one to know, is holding the trigger. And then the last mode is called underslung mode, and that's difficult to demonstrate while I'm seated. But if I wanted to get a shot of feet or ground, something low, and I'm standing up, I can then use it this way. I hope you found this video useful and it gets you started with using the gimbal and getting some great footage. And if you want further explanation, you can always go into the manual. And just the key is to use it, to experiment, to try new things. And so get out there and try it out, and I can't wait to see what you're going to capture.